Kick, high into the air it rises. High into the air it soars. The crowd rises, eyes peeled on the ball as it comes down on the opposing side, its team running into positions. Ready? The receiver braces himself to catch the ball, legs prepped to start running as soon as the ball is safely in his arms. Reaching up, he grabs the ball and starts to run, watching the other team running straight for him. What happens next? Two teams, two similar styles, and yet two very different games. One fast-paced, high-intensity with on-the-run strategies, while the other is slower-paced, stop-and-go strategy with moments of high anxiety. What two games, you ask? Football, American that is, versus rugby. Rugby gets you excited from the get-go, makes you happier longer. Both games can have high anxiety and high intensity moments that can make us more positive and improve health through the joys of the highs and even some of the lows we feel while watching a sports game. Lisa O'Neill Hill stated in an article for CNN Health, scientists have found that being sports fans can be good for your emotional, psychological, and social health. Rugby has a steady, ongoing flow of excitement that overrules the much more strategic on and off performances included in the American style of football. Rugby is a much more interesting, affordable, and slightly safer sport. In rugby, the ball handler runs ahead of his team, trying to fend off the opposing players, pushing them away, sidestepping a tackle, and running forward. He will pass the ball to the side of his body as a teammate runs from behind to support before getting tackled. If he is tackled and hits the ground, his job is to try and release the ball to a member of his own team as the other side will be trying to grab at the ball and take possession without being offside. In football, the player catching the ball comes running from the 20-yard line. His teammates position themselves between the opposing team and their ball carrier, trying to make a path that he can run through without getting tackled. The ultimate goal is to get the ball to the end zone and score a touchdown. He has 4 downs to achieve the first 10 yards, while the opposing defensive team is constantly strategizing to hinder that goal. If he is tackled, his goal and hits the ground, his task is to hold on tightly to that ball so that the other team does not gain possession. Wow, how exciting both games can be. Lizette Borelli wrote in an article for the Medical Daily telling us why. The spectating brain is also a playing brain when it comes to sports. When we're watching sports, it feels as if we're actually playing in the game. We begin to place ourselves in the athlete's shoes. Dopamine, a neurotransmitter that helps control the brain's reward and pleasure centers, helps to regulate emotional responses as well as movement. This means that when we're excited, our brain will release dopamine, followed by a feeling of positivity. Yes, it's that high that you feel when your team has just scored. You're jumping up and down and high-fiving different people and hugging strangers. It's the feeling that keeps you on the edge of your seats at a sporting event. And with the ongoing plays in rugby, the high lasts longer, releasing more dopamine into the brain, while the constant interruptions in changing teams, yellow flags, and deciding new plays has the American football fan facing sporadic highs while waiting for the next play to start. So rugby makes you happier and healthier, right? For the armchair sports fan, this happiness is enough. But for those that love the added euphoria of the crowds at an actual event, attendance is a must. However, the cost of tickets may cause you to change your mind. And in an article for CNBC Sports, Jacob Young writes, many sports fanatics seem content to watch their favorite teams in a bar or in the comfort of their own homes. It's easy to understand why, as pro sports ticket prices often run in the hundreds or even the thousands of dollars depending on the game and location. Now, because rugby is still fairly new in North America, a ticket to the event is fairly inexpensive, making the cost of attendance definitely favourable and the extra dopamine highs more affordable. Besides, if you haven't had the opportunity to meet the interesting and diverse group of rugby fans at a game, I highly recommend that you attend a Rugby Sevens event. Half the fun is watching the parade of costumes that pass by, bringing more laughs, more dopamine, more positivity, making you happier and healthier. Part of the fun of watching contact sports is the contact. Here is where the biggest difference in the two games are. For safety purposes, American football players wear different pads to help keep them from getting hurt. Rugby players generally do not wear pads. Thick jerseys, short shorts, and long socks make up their uniform. In an article to the Pelham Rugby Club website titled Concussions, American Football versus Rugby, it says football is a collision sport while rugby is a contact sport. The biggest reason rugby does not suffer from the same rate of concussions as American football is the rules. In football, the defensive player is a missile able to use his helmet or shoulder pads as a weapon. In rugby, such tackles are illegal and result in the defender being thrown out of the game. In rugby, the tackler must make an attempt to wrap as he tackles, and only from the armpits down, while a player wearing a helmet should shoulder pads, grip and hip protections, everything else feels invincible. A rugby game has way more tackles and thus more contact, more surprise, whoa, and more dopamine released in the enjoyment of the game. So, two teams, two similar styles, and yet two very different games. To the die-hard fans of each game, the biases will shine through as they vote against the other sport. But if we took a few unbiased people to both events and had them weigh in on which games makes them happier, is affordable to attend, has safer contact hugging, and then I truly believe that their dopamine levels would be higher at a rugby game, making them happier, healthier, and more positive in this crazy sporting world. I challenge you to try a rugby game the next time you need a sustaining pick-me-up.